It's time for Southern Fried Baseball, presented by College Baseball Central. Hosted by Jake McKeever as he talks everything SEC baseball and more.
Welcome in, College Baseball Central fans. Back again here with the Week 4 preview, coming to you live as some of these games are going on. Well, I guess game. Andrew, the $1 million man that's been to all the baseball games so far, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We're doing a little duo action, live streaming, and watching the LSU Oklahoma game. So
I'm doing a little bit of the same, and let's go ahead and start with that game. LSU on Thursday, Friday, Saturday is heading up to the Dale to take on Oklahoma. At least early on, we're seeing a great pitching matchup between Cade Anderson and Kyson Witherspoon. I think I picked OU. You picked LSU along with the majority. Walk us through kind of the logic behind LSU for me.
I think there's a world where LSU could sweep them. That's if tonight went a little different. I think obviously it's only 1-0 in the fourth, but I like the pitching matchups for LSU tomorrow and Saturday with Ianson and Shores going against Crossland, and I'm assuming Malachi Witherspoon, Skip Johnson decided to go with the TBA on Saturday. I think the starting pitching's in LSU's favor, and I think LSU's got the better lineup as of right now.
So Scott Mudler is out for OU. He's normally their starting catcher. I believe Easton Carmichael got the call today. He normally DHs for him. If I had known he was going to be out, I probably would have picked LSU. But, we roll with the punches here at Southern Fried Baseball. For me, I think this is the first time that LSU hasn't had the pitching advantage. Because even in that Texas series, you could kind of say that they had the pitching advantage. But they do have a more dynamic lineup. I thought it was interesting that they went with Tanner Reeves at third base tonight. I thought that they kind of needed the defense a little bit more from Michael Braswell. Again, we're not Jay Johnson, so we don't really see what they do every time. LSU definitely is going to get challenged this weekend. They're going to have to record all 27 outs. I think it's a good practice for where LSU is, even though they really don't have the error bug by any stretch of the imagination. But Oklahoma challenges you, and they punish you if you do force some of those errors. It's a bigger ballpark, too, as well. So the LSU doubles, I think, play into their head. God, the more I talk about it, the more I wish I would have taken LSU. But I'm going to stay with OU.
It looks like the wind is blowing really in at OU today. There's been a couple fly balls that have been barreled up, and they've just gotten nowhere.
I don't mean this in like a negative way to all the OU fans that follow me, but I think that this is the first weekend really this season that LSU hasn't gone into a rowdy environment. The box is extremely, extremely rowdy pro LSU. Texas was just an electric environment. The Dale's just not. When you look at some of these SEC stadiums, so it's the first time LSU really has to hone in and focus. Malachi and Kyson Witherspoon really can put you to sleep. In the game, I remember when they played Virginia, you almost just kind of blinked and you were in the sixth inning, and that's kind of what's happening tonight a little bit. LSU, the bullpen, I think, is going to have to step up too as well. Because, again, if you have errors that are unforced, the bullpen gets more taxed. OU has some bullpen guys that have gone down. But, the guys that are sitting at the back end of that bullpen for them, I think, are really, really good. So LSU's got to get to those starters, I think, if they want to have a chance to win.
Yeah, if they get to this bullpen really easily, that's the one thing I mentioned in my LSU Oklahoma preview is that if LSU can get to Kyson, which it's 1-0 in the fourth, long way to go. If they can get to this bullpen early on Thursday or tomorrow, I don't see a way that they shouldn't beat Oklahoma or they shouldn't lose to Oklahoma.
I will say this. I think that this is going to be a tale of the bullpens. Yeah. I still don't trust LSU's bullpen a little bit, but, every single week I feel like I trust it a little bit more and more. I think the defense, like I said, it's got to be better for them. But we'll move on to what was supposed to be the other game, but is now going to be a doubleheader at 3 and 6:30. Ole Miss heads up to KPP to take on Kentucky. Kentucky sits at 17-9, 4-5 in the SEC. Ole Miss sits at 22-6, 6-3 in the SEC. I believe you went with Ole Miss and I went with Kentucky, correct?
No, I went with Kentucky as well.
Okay, so me and you are in the same boat. Caleb and Micah rolled with Ole Miss again. I think that this is going to be an absolute dogfight. I think people are kind of sleeping on this Kentucky team a little bit.
Yeah.
Why I went with Kentucky is The lineup. Ole Miss has been really good at being in front of their bullpen, and we saw last week with Texas A&M. Kentucky has a really good plan of attack, and it really grinds it out. They really make you force them to get them out. They're okay taking walks. I think that's really what stands out to me is just how dynamic this lineup is. And I know I mentioned it on our Monday show. If Kentucky can get in any semblance of a bullpen, this is a really scary, scary team.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see this Kentucky pitching staff like kind of hone in this weekend. They didn't name an official starter for Thursday, which I think they kind of knew, like, okay, there's a 50-50 shot. This game's actually played today. So it'll be interesting to see if it's McKay tomorrow for game one of the doubleheader. But I really love this lineup. I mean, the more
I think Nick McKay is going to stay on. I think he's going to do the late game, if I had to guess, because I remember last week against Texas A&M, they sped up. What's his face? I can't think of their starter that they sped up.
Cleaver,
sped up Cleaver. Let me see if I can find the box. Ben Cleaver had been pitching good for them on Sunday. It was Scott Roush. Scott Roush is what I was thinking of. I think that they go Scott Roush in game one. But, they did the same thing last week where you sit there and you're like, okay, Scott Roush isn't better than Ryan Prager. Scott Roush isn't necessarily better than Hunter Elliott. And, for 90% of that game, it really didn't matter. Scott Roush had it until he didn't. I think that the way that this bullpen is kind of set up, they're going to have to have Scott Roush go as many pitches as he can.
Yeah.
This Ole Miss lineup, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, do you consider it an elite lineup? Do you consider it an above average? Like, if you were to rank it in the SEC, where would you rank this Ole Miss lineup? Because they looked good against Florida last week.
Yeah. Florida's dealing with pitching injuries. I mean, in the bullpen and the rotation.
But they weren't walking. And I know that has been Florida's issue for a little bit. They were actively on the prowl. Will Furnace was really good for him. Isaac Humphrey. Federico.
I think they're middle of the pack, SEC, but that also just goes to say how good a bunch of these SEC lineups are. I think they're middle of the pack. I think they're like 6, 7, 8.
Would you put Kentucky's lineup above them?
Yeah, so I think Kentucky's lineup's better than Ole Miss. So I would put Ole Miss at like 8, Kentucky like right at 7.
Here's your real question. Would you put Kentucky, Alabama, and LSU, rank those 3?
LSU, Alabama, Kentucky.
Interesting. I think I'd do Kentucky, Alabama, LSU.
I think it's just because I've watched this LSU lineup so
They're
much.
so close, though. Like they are. Like you could really kind of talk yourself into it. Like even with Alabama, like I know when I saw Alabama, they were a pretty dynamic lineup. Obviously, I haven't had a chance to see LSU. I think I'll see them here in a few weeks. I'll be out there for that Tennessee series. But you and I both went with Kentucky. I think that this is another one where the road. I think this is a 2 of 3 series for me at least. Is that how you're kind of feeling too as well?
Yeah, I think. Especially now with that doubleheader tomorrow, I don't trust. Like, it's rare we see SEC teams sweep doubleheaders at times. Like last week with Georgia and Auburn. Auburn should have won that second game. Their bullpen just collapsed.
Yeah.
I think we see a split tomorrow, and then Kentucky takes game 3 with. I'm pretty sure it's confirmed with Ben Cleaver on the mound.
Ben Cleaver's been their best starter. The only thing is they might speed him up, but even then, I think if they were going to get him into that Saturday role and move Nick McKay back into that Friday role, I think he'd already be sped up enough.
Yeah,
he's already pitching on short rest, if you will. So, but we'll move on to me and you both picked Florida. Caleb picked Florida too as well. Micah picked Vandy. That one is in Condren. We said it last week with Texas A&M against Kentucky that it's make or break time for the Aggies. It ended up being break time. This is the week I feel like for Florida. I think if Florida loses this series, it's going to be that nail in the coffin.
Ways away.
Kevin O'Sullivan will get to work in that portal super early. Yeah. I don't think Vandy's really that good. Hot take. I like J.D. Thompson at the top of that rotation, but the lineup just leaves a lot to be desired.
I think Chris Phillips for SEC Unfiltered said it perfectly the other day that like this Vanderbilt team's not like teams past when he was talking about the lineup. It's like, or you look at Vanderbilt years of past where they had like world destroyers like Dancy Swanson, Seth Jones, JJ Bleday,
Bulger,
Bulger,
RJ Schreck.
You can go on and on and on.
Pedro Alvarez, if you're a geezer.
Yeah, Pedro Alvarez. It was the one name I was thinking specifically for that. It's now like, okay, you have Brody Johnston.
Brody Johnston's a freshman, and Brody Johnson is their best power hitter by far. And Brody Johnson's really good. I should say that.
Yeah,
but
you have Brody Johnson, Jacob Humphrey, Riley Nelson. But like those guys aren't like world destroyers that are like this one guy can turn a whole game around for like can like ignite a flame into that Vanderbilt lineup.
It drops off too for a lineup that really kind of predicates itself on depth. It really does feel very top heavy. And I will say this, like, LSU has a guy that's going to probably break home run records in Jared Jones. Tennessee has a guy that's going to break home run records. Like, Vandy doesn't have that. Like, I get that Brody Johnston's good. He's probably going to be a first-team All-SEC freshman. He was the guy that they were supposed to – but, dude, I think this is the end of the road for Vanderbilt. They get to play a really bad Texas A&M team and sweep them. And if you remove that, they're 1-5 in the SEC.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the kiss of death is for A&M with me, is that if you can't even beat Vandy in a single game, that just shows you how bad that they are. I picked Florida. I don't want to get greedy. I thought about doing a sweep, but I don't want to get greedy. I think Florida takes 2 of 3, but I think they pissed down their leg in one of those games. I think that they dominate the series, but they pissed down their leg. That's my hot take.
I think all 3 games are going to be competitive. I think one of the games Florida bullpen will end up pissing down their pants. I mean, it's going to be nice to see Liam Peterson back on Fridays. That's, I guess, like the one glimpse of hope for Florida. It's, you got Peterson back on Friday.
Brody Grenade midweek merchant, but Vandy bullpens should probably be in some of these midweeks. So we can bad pitching. I subscribe to the Brody Donay paradox that Brody Donay hits bad pitching. So if you give up a home run to Brody Donay, you're bad at pitching.
Yeah.
But if you strike out Brody Donay, you're a pretty good pitcher. But so the Brody Donay paradox, if you will. Yeah,
and I mean, I think this UF lineup, they'll start turning it around. I think it starts this weekend. I think this is like we talked about it with UF's schedule coming up. It's very favorable for them.
Get hot. Don't look ahead. That's my philosophy with these guys. You take it one game at a time.
Yeah, you just gotta get to the SEC tournament above 500 and in a decent spot. You don't want to be going into a roller coaster like we've seen with Ole Miss last year, with Vanderbilt the last couple of years. You want to get into the SEC tournament healthy and like on a decent roll.
Yeah, I think that this is where they'll kind of get rolling here. This is a first on Southern Fried Baseball. This series is going to be ranked behind whichever series Missouri is playing. The South Carolina Gamecocks will be heading to the Dude. They sit at 18-12, 1-8 in the SEC, 1-11 against teams with a pulse. Mississippi State sits at 17-12, 1-8 in the SEC. They are 1-10 against teams with a pulse. One of these teams is going to get 2 wins out of this weekend. And I'm going to be honest, I don't feel good about either of them getting 2 wins out of this series.
No, it's going to be – I think Mississippi State takes Friday with Pico Cone on the mound.
That's the only guarantee.
That's the only guarantee. I mean,
then, you only guaranteed 6 or 7 from Pico Cone because South Carolina can single you to death.
But they got to hit the ball. They got to hit the ball for that to happen.
It's like South Carolina is really good at only hitting singles, and Mississippi State I feel like is so lethargic that they'll give up a lot of first and thirds. Like they don't really.
Yeah, it's
like this would have been a great game like 10 years ago, like when I was in high school.
It would have been like
it's not, and I don't know. I know why Mississippi State's bad. I really do. It's because they're not very big players in the NIL game, and they rely a ton on freshman recruits to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why South Carolina's so bad. Like, they play at a beautiful ballpark. Palmineri's a good enough coach to move the needle, I should say. But they just – I think that South Carolina fans – and the burners are going to come for me on this. I think that they're kind of realizing where they sit in the hierarchy. And Mississippi State's about 3 years behind where South Carolina is. South Carolina's at the bottom as a program right now. I don't think that they could get any lower. And like, this feels like the low point for South Carolina, because Palmineri, he's going to turn them around eventually, right? Do you have faith that he turns it around?
He's gotten the commitment from the South Carolina boosters, athletic administration, that we will give you anything possible to make this team into what it was in the early 2010s. I don't think they're going to turn around this season. I think next year, with the freshman class they got coming in, and with the transfer portal being the transfer portal now, I could see Palmineri working his magic.
I'll say this too. If State is 2-10, do they start shopping?
For head coaches or for transfer portal?
For head coaches.
I mean,
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I think, you know how when you buy a car and it kind of goes from like you checking sites to see what good deals are, and it kind of goes to watching like reviews.
Yes.
I think that Mississippi State's starting to like watch reviews on cars that they're.
Yeah.
But they're starting to kind of like, watch those car videos about like, daily driving a Honda Civic or something like that. That's what it feels like Mississippi State, if they lose this series, is going to do.
I mean, yeah, they'll definitely. It's got. But the thing is, the series could like restore everyone's faith in Chris Lemonis, when it feels like there's.
Would it, if they swept and they were sitting at 4-8 in the SEC? Would it?
If their schedule coming up is promising, maybe, but I
got it right in front of me if you want me to read it off.
Please. I'm pretty sure it's not promising at all.
They have Alabama, which is only like an hour, so it's basically a home game. I wouldn't surprise me if they bust back and forth. Florida, they play the Governor's Cup against Ole Miss on that Tuesday. Auburn, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and then they end with this is an easy ass schedule. Yeah. They're gonna sneak into the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, if they can get Carson Ligon, like they get Carson Ligon, like figuring him out, him like in a groove.
They always beat Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They're gonna beat Missouri. I feel like they'll go 3-3 against Florida, Kentucky for some reason.
They end with Mizzou. I think the most logical way this happens is it's going to come down to 2 or 3 teams fighting to get into the tournament, and it's going to come down to Mississippi State having to beat Missouri twice, and then they just drop them because it is in Missouri. It is at a Delta Theta.
Losing to Missouri.
That would be they would have Chris Lemonis packing his. They would be having.
They would leave him there, even though he lives in like Starkville. They would leave him there.
Yeah.
They would tarmac him. They'd be the first home tarmac. Let me see what everybody went with. Everybody went with Mississippi State.
Yeah. We've just talked about it. We've talked about it with.
Congrats to South Carolina. No one picked the sweep though. That's pretty interesting.
I
don't believe in them that much.
I think they take Saturday. It's Evan Siri against Jarvis Evans Jr. But I just feel like South Carolina takes one of these games, but just like it's gonna be such a boring game. I think we're gonna see the most all time, like series broken of just singles in one series.
We'll do these next 2 series together because I feel like they go hand in hand, and I want to propose something to you. Arkansas is at home against Missouri. Tennessee is at home against Texas A&M. Do you think that Missouri has a closer run differential against Arkansas than Texas A&M does against Tennessee?
No. I think
I don't
Texas
think so
A&M.
either.
I think. So I actually watched the Missouri Arkansas.
Oh wait, I was saying that I think Tennessee blows the doors off of it. I think that one's closer than A&M.
I think A&M's ready to. I think A&M's ready to pack it up for this season and get ready for next season. I think Missouri keeps it close for some reason.
I think it's like 5-8-4.
Yeah.
3. I think A&M gets run rolled in one game.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I could see Tennessee knocking the doors off of Prager and run rolling them tomorrow night.
It's a pretty funny comment. Whenever Tennessee finally, no, they're not overrated. I've seen them in person. They are probably. I've been saying for weeks that they're better than last year. By the way,
yeah,
I don't. I'll say this: if A&M somehow wins the series, I will go to Dave's Hot Chicken and get the hottest chicken that they have and eat it. That is how confident I am A&M does not win this series.
Yeah.
I don't even think they win a game. I don't even think they have a lead in any game this series.
I mean, if they accidentally score one in the first, then
yeah, I did not off.
Not off Liam Doyle, not off of Marcus Phillips. I'm gonna assume from what I've heard, it's gonna be Tegan Coons again on Sunday. They just
against Patton.
Yeah,
those A&M arms I think are taxed. They're done.
I also just think that this team is starting to mentally check out.
I think they've been checked out for weeks.
I hate using that term too, mentally check out, because one, we've said it multiple times, this team is so talented and top 25 teams, or they're not a top 25 team obviously, but this is a make it or break it weekend for them. But it's
we said that last week and they broke.
But Tennessee has a chance to just nail in the coffin, bury them. If they humiliate A&M, we're talking about crisis in College Station.
I'll say this: I've seen that video of Kentucky doing the dugout stuff. I think the one thing that really jumps out to me the most is that nobody is out there saying anything if they're A&M. Legitimately. None of the players are doing it. They're all sitting there stallic in the dugout. The only one is Grahovic. Grahovic was the one holding them back. No one else is saying anything in that video if you look.
Yeah. And I think A&M's just too banged up too.
I don't even think it's that. I think that it's the haves and the have-nots. The people that took visits to go hang out with that guy that's a little bit west of town. I think that created division for people who didn't take visits to that guy west of town. That's my theory. I mean, some of them did take. I mean, it's been confirmed that some of them took visits. I have pictures of it, by the way, if they try and say it's slanderous.
No, I know that.
And not everybody took visits. I think that's where a lot of this division has come from. It doesn't feel like a cohesive unit.
Yeah, but that's something you iron out right when you get back to campus. You figure out. It should be. It should be first thing in the meeting. First thing, Michael Early walks into the first team meeting of the fall, saying, "Hey, look, we just lost in the College World Series finals. We lost our head coach to our arch rival, in-state rival, the biggest rival, and some of you guys took visits, but you ultimately decided to stay. We need to hammer that out, that you took the visit as a courtesy and there was never any interest. We need to air out that laundry, get it done." But I agree. I think there's tension in that locker room, and it's not.
I think the one thing that really stands out to me the most, and I think is the biggest reason why all these troubles, is they have a lot of guys that you think would be leaders on this team, and they don't have one. They have a lot. They have a lot of alpha personalities. I'll say this: Jace Lavalette, the way he's playing center field, yes, he's not hitting the way that he's supposed to. The way he's playing center field is an alpha level. Wyatt Hensler's been he's a fifth year. He's been to the tournament numerous times. Hayden Schott was a big leader for him last year. They just don't have someone that, at least this is the vibe I'm getting. They don't have somebody that they can look at and go, hey, like, I'm not saying it's Jace Lavalette. I'm saying, like, hey, Jace Lavalette, you're our biggest leader. Wherever you go, we go. If you're going to be a dick, like, it reminds me of, do you remember when Barry Switzer came over to coach the Cowboys and Troy Aikman was talking about how he's like, yeah, Barry didn't have the fire in him anymore. He's like, yeah, he's like, y'all should be pros. I shouldn't have to yell at you. There's no one stepping up to be Troy Aikman, to be a dick, to hold people accountable. And I think that this is a microcosm of nobody being held accountable for the last 6 months.
Yeah, it feels like they thought it was just going to be a repeat of last year. They didn't have to think of it. That, like, some guys carried themselves like, okay, like, wow, Schloss went to Texas. Like, fuck him. Like we're going to prove him wrong. We're going to go right back to where he was.
That's not what happened at all.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah. And I think Chris said this in the Houston one, that there's probably people in that dugout that are like, and I bet you it's even worse now that they're playing Georgia this weekend. They're thinking, why the fuck didn't I go to Texas?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have loyalty to A&M. I have loyalty to Coach Schlossnagle. He's the one that brought me here. I don't know any of those people, but I can almost guarantee that there's somebody that took a visit that is thinking that in the back of their head.
And it's also the fact of the new college, the new world of college sports. There is no such thing as loyalty anymore. You didn't have to stay loyal to A&M. And I hate saying that, but it's true.
They really didn't. And that's the part. And I think that there are a lot of people that I think their NILs kept him here more so than the love of a university. Because I will say this. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of pride on this team. I think Michael Early has a ton of pride.
Yes.
I don't think Michael Early's folded up the shot. I think Michael Early realizes that, the seat's heating up. And I think he's coaching his ass off. I really do. And I know that's weird to say to a team that's 14-14, that's having the worst season in 25 years.
Yeah.
They should be worse. If they didn't have Michael Early, if they had somebody else being the coach, they would arguably be Missouri levels of bad. Michael Early has single-handedly won them a few games.
Yeah.
He's starting to figure stuff out. And everybody loves to play after the fact that, he shouldn't have brought in Rudis. He shouldn't have done this. Why'd he pinch it here? He's trying. He is coaching his ass off. Yeah. And there's nobody in that dugout that is willing to fight for Mike.
Yeah, it's just that he's doing his best, it feels like, and it's like he's throwing everything out there, every possibility. Yeah. It's gonna get to the point where at the end of this season, he's gonna have to think about, like, what am I gonna have to look for to, like, rebuild this team for, like, to even have a shot into next year.
It's going to be a tough one. We'll move on because I think we spent too much time on Texas A&M. Tennessee sits at 8-1. They look extremely, extremely dominant in every sense of the word. That South Carolina series, they didn't even look their best, and they swept. They sit at 27-2. They lost to Bama on a Thursday and East Tennessee State by 1. Since then, they've won 5 straight SEC games. They're going to win 8 straight SEC games. They're probably going to win 9, maybe even 10 or 11 as they play Ole Miss next weekend. Here's your question where we sit right now. They have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 SEC games, a few midweeks sprinkled in. They have 8 losses to play with. Does Tennessee enter the SEC tournament with single-digit losses?
Yes.
I think so too as well.
Yes, that's a pretty easy question, actually. Yes.
I don't envision a world where I don't even think. Here's what that's crazy is I've talked to a few coaches that have played against Tennessee, and I've asked them before, like, hey, what's the hole? And they've said, honestly, there really isn't one. I talked to them after, I'm like, hey, what's the hole? Said, catch them on an off day.
Yeah.
Rob home runs. Like, they're so dynamic. They're so deep. Here's the part that's crazy is even with Gavin Keelan out, they feel like they're better defensively. Obviously, they're really missing Gavin Keelan's bat, but they've had a few guys kind of pick up the slack on him. When Gavin Keelan comes back, I still don't even think they have a hole. Yeah, their defense will get worse, but Gavin Keelan's going to be a first rounder.
Yeah, he's questionable for tomorrow, but from what I've heard, they are confident that he's going to go this weekend at some point. It's such a tough lineup, and they are so defensively sound that it's like you can try and get them to make mistakes, but it's nearly
that was what the coach said last year. He was like, yeah, he goes, the thing was last year, you can kind of, force the pressure, have them kick the ball around, and, if it's 50-50, they make the play. It feels like every time I turn on the TV, they're making these diving catches in the outfield.
Yeah.
Your South Florida boy, just turning unreal double plays. Yeah. That one play that he made in the hole to get the guy at third.
He's always been defensively amazing. He's always he's always just been defensively amazing. He was probably 10 years old playing with a bunch of 13-year-olds, and he'd still be the best fielder out there. It was
He's
amazing.
Insane. And he has a really strong arm for somebody his size.
He does.
It's like chick boom, and then it just shoots out. I still can't believe when they went first short first that was a double play. It felt like it took him 2 steps from his glove to the other glove at first. I don't envision Tennessee dropping a series. I don't envision Tennessee going down at all. We'll go ahead and move on.
I think there's one chance, but
what day?
At Baton Rouge. In Baton Rouge.
Oh, I thought you meant this weekend.
Oh no! Yeah. This weekend you can. I would. Yeah.
I don't see it. Missouri, Arkansas. I think that
Arkansas sweep.
Arkansas. I think we all predicted Arkansas to sweep.
The student
there was
availability.
One note I wanted to bring up just because it was so funny when I read it. Dave Van Horn asked if we'll see Gage Woods this weekend. No.
Yeah, they just released his the availability report. Missouri was without Ian Loesch this weekend, it looks like.
Oh, jeez. They're really screwed then.
Yeah, Ian Loesch is out. No update there, it looks like.
Jacob Humphrey is probable for Vandy.
Yes.
Pierce Coppola's out for the year. Cade Curlin's out for the year.
Wait.
Don't. Sorry, fans. You weren't supposed to hear that. South Carolina has Talmadge LaCroix, Nolan Larocque, and then the usual suspect. Talmadge isn't. So it's gonna be the Max Coffer show. A&M is going to be without Gavin Cash and Josh Stewart. Interesting.
Well, Stewart's out for the year. He's finally getting surgery.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched anything though. AJ Russell is out. Alberto Ozuna is out. Why is he in the injury report?
They do it out of spite. Tony V is a pity man. And
Devin Keelan is questionable.
He is.
We'll save that one yet. Ian Loesch out. Gage Wood out. Parker Coyle out. Rocco Pepe doubtful. Oh, that's interesting.
A lot of these Missouri players. Missouri has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They laid it all out to get that series win against Arkansas Pine Bluff last night.
Wait, Lovich isn't going to play? That's not fair that Arkansas gets to play Missouri without Ian Loesch and Jackson Lovich.
Carrick Johnson.
Those are the 2 best players by far.
Carrick Johnson's tanking. He heard that they get the shot at whatever Holiday Brothers coming up next. So they're tanking. And
yeah, times are tough down in Oklahoma State. So maybe Missouri will get them.
It won't be with Carrick Johnson's head coach.
We'll move on to the Iron Bowl, if you will. Lost my mic. Cade Snell is questionable. Riley Quick is probable. Cade Ballou and Eric Gueva are questionable for Auburn. I believe we all went with Alabama.
No. Me and Caleb went Auburn.
That's what it was.
Yes.
I got it up in front of me again. Yep. It is at Plainsman Park. Alabama sits at 26-4, 6-3 in the SEC. Auburn sits at 20-9, 4-5 with some asterisks, if you ask this guy right here.
I agree. No, I agree.
Bama's going to roll. I'm sorry. I almost wanted to do sweep.
So I really like Alabama as a team, but I really think Auburn just finds a way. It's like one of those weird series. It's like Bama's in it every game. They have a lead in almost every game, and then just like some Auburn magic happens. And I feel like
they used some magic against Vandy week 1. They used some magic up at KPP in week 2.
Yes.
Last week they did not have any magic.
Well, there's no magic at with the trees blowing at.
Is it Foley or Foley?
Foley, I think.
I like Bama. I think that if they can get Bobby Alcock back to where he was that A&M series, if they can get Riley Quick for 3 innings, James has a comment for us. As a Vol fan, I could see A&M beating us. Feels very to one-sided. They could win the series. They have the guys. They had the guys. I want to clarify that. They had the guys.
He's doing that reverse jinxing thing where he says it out loud. It's like, okay, I got to get this off my chest. If I say it, then like Tennessee's going to sweep easily. I just got to put it out in the world.
If they were to play 100 times, Tennessee would win 95 of them.
Yeah, and the other 5 would be on like accident.
Yeah, the other 5 would be like, remember when South Carolina accidentally scored 5 runs against Tennessee? It would have to be like that level of accidental.
Yes.
I don't see it, but James, maybe you know a little bit more than us. Auburn, I really like Auburn as a team. They find ways to win. They sit in 4 and 5 in the SEC. I think that should be applauded. I think that it's just the Bama show. I mean, Rob Vaughn's going to win SEC Coach of the Year. Justin LeBron's going to win the Golden Spikes. I have the script, if you will.
See, I hope Justin LeBron does good because I have that video of Big Justice and the Rizzler doing the LeBron edit. So every time he does something good, I am posting that video. So
I actually asked him, I said, do you think you're the best person named LeBron? And he kind of laughed and he goes, maybe the best at baseball.
Yeah. There's no evidence of LeBron playing baseball. So
I really like Richie Bonamolo. I like Cade Snell. I like Hodo. Brady Neal's kind of starting to platoon a little bit. Mm-hmm. I know he had some really, really bad luck when I talked to Rob Vaughn in the A&M series. I really like Bama. I think Auburn's going to be focused on other things this weekend.
That game's what, Saturday night? Yeah.
Are they the early game or the late game?
I mean, if I'm baseball, I'm trying to move it around basketball. I don't know. I haven't double checked. I'm pretty sure they're the early game.
I'm checked out of that, by the way. It sounds so stupid, but somebody asked me how my bracket was doing, and I thought like it was over. that is the level of basketball knowledge I have.
Yeah.
One more series, probably the series of the weekend. The Texas Longhorns at 23-4, 8-1 in the SEC, will welcome the Georgia Bulldogs at 29-2, 8-1 in the SEC to the dish. Georgia's availability report is as follows. Where is it?
I got it right here if you need me.
All right, I got it. Trey Phelps is out. Davis Chastain is probable. Max Ballou is obviously out for 6 to 8 weeks. Adrian Rodriguez is questionable, which, by the way, I love Texas pulling that gotcha on everybody that doesn't know coaches or talk to coaches, saying he was day-to-day, and then you have people that talk to coaches that were like, yeah, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. I thought that was pretty funny. It was like a little gotcha to see like where everybody's sources were at.
Insider Wars, Kendall Rogers versus whatever the other guy's name.
At Baseball America. Yeah. Zach at the dish versus Ann Parker. Like me versus people in my DMs. I did see, I am on Texas's media list. They did issue it as day-to-day, but every single person that I talked to that was like, no, it's, I think he went and got it. Like I heard it on Saturday, and then like, yeah, he's gonna maybe wait and get a second opinion, and he went and got a second opinion. I will say this: Rylan Galvan is, I think, about as close to 100% as he's going to be. He might DH this weekend. Who knows what Texas is going to roll out with Max Ballou? By the way, they could go a variety of different ways with it. Adrian Rodriguez will probably DH. they need to figure something out at third base, by the way, from a defensive standpoint. Borba had another error in that midweek.
Yeah.
Not his bats, his bats warranted keeping him in the lineup. I don't know what they do with him, by the way. Easton Winfield's another guy who I think he's sitting under 200. He technically won the job out of spring camp.
Yeah.
Obviously, Max Blue got sick and DH'd that opening weekend. And then ever since then, Tommy Farmer, who had quote-unquote lost it, has been playing out of his mind, an unreal defense. Could be Matt Scott. I don't know.
I think it might be Matt Scott.
You think so?
I think it might be.
I'll have to ask. It's not going to be Jonah Williams, by the way. I know it's not going to be Jonah Williams.
I think it's going to be Matt Scott. I think we see Cole Chamberlain behind the plate this week if Galvan is DHing now.
But then what do you do with A-Rod? Because A-Rod's a little bit banged up. I like Hot Rod better than A-Rod, by the way.
Hot Rod.
Yeah. Gumbo. Hey, Andrew, we're gonna give you two guesses on who Gumbo is.
Oh no! We just talked about it.
Yes. Logan, don't give me any hints in the comments.
It's Jaden.
Jaden what?
Jaden Duplantier.
Logan, we'll have to get your official ruling on if that one counts.
I can't say his last name correct.
Duplantier, by the way.
Duplantier.
That would be really interesting. I'm gonna be honest with you. Again, we don't see them every day at practice. We don't see what he does at practice. I would be shocked if it was him. Scott and Winfield. I think it's gonna be Winfield's job until he loses it. I got to see Matt Scott because he's from like 15 minutes from where I live.
Yeah.
Not to self-dox myself. He's a really, really dynamic talent. I got to see him a little bit in high school. Actually saw him play Cade Arabidi. Fun fact. Very, very random. Cade Arabidi wore bright purple cleats that game, by the way.
He's finding a way. It's the way he is hitting in midweeks. He's going to be in the midweek warrior conversation with Brady Donay at UF.
Him and Brady are going to fight for the midweek merchant.
Yeah.
I could see it'll be interesting to see which way they go.
I think this week, if this happened on any other week where they weren't playing Texas State at home, they could have maybe like played around with right field, have different guys out there, have different guys get ABs. But you drop that midweek Texas State, you kind of dig yourself in a hole into.
I can be honest. I watched that game on wheels after the fact, so I did watch the game itself, but I didn't have the lineup in front of me. Let me pull it up and see what the lineup was. Because also Tommy Farmer's a really, really freak athlete, and left field actually is deeper than right field at Texas. They do Duplantier, both games and left. Cole Chamberlain did DH, but that was for did play catcher, but that was for Galvan being out. Here's your score prediction, because I think we all went with Georgia except for Caleb, right? Or no, all went in Texas except for Caleb.
It was either Caleb or Micah went Georgia.
How does Texas win these games? I think they win it 6-3.
Pitching. I think it's going to be like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of home runs.
Logan, I think I saw either Logan or Nash tweet about the wind blowing straight in.
Yeah.
As well. Chris Phillips had another great stat. Let me pull it up. Georgia leads the country with an astonishing 79 home runs. They are in 88% or 88 above average in WB and runs created. Parker's going to play very big Saturday and Sunday. Texas has only, as a staff, has only allowed 14. I think there's a few people on Georgia that have that many. Yeah.
Ryan.
They allowed 14 as a staff, and Robbie Burnett and Rylan Zabrowski have 14. Period.
Well,
it does play big. It is 340 down the line. A lot of people kind of forget that it plays as big as it does. I will be there Saturday. God, you look up and down this lineup. Rylan Zabrowski, 488. Robbie Burnett, 356. Slade Alford, 349. Trey Phelps, who's not playing, 305.
They're at 84 home runs now after that Tuesday afternoon massacre of Queens.
I don't think one of these teams gets exposed though.
No, this isn't a weekend for either team. It's like if Georgia takes 2 out of 3, Texas panics. It's not a panic weekend for anyone. I think this weekend it's going to be super regionals, like kind of vibe, but I don't think it's like a weekend where anyone's going to be panicking.
So here's you a question, because they always kind of dock people for going on the road. Like, is this going to be a series where like Texas will win and not move up, and Georgia will not move back?
I think if anything, they'll move like up and down one spot.
Obviously, if there's a sweep or something like that, that's a different story. But if it's like
it's also Georgia's ranked number 3.
Like if it's Georgia or Texas wins Friday, Georgia wins Saturday, Texas wins Sunday late. Like Georgia's what 3? Georgia's 3, Texas is 5.
If Texas I have Texas at 3. If Texas has I have Texas at 3. If they win this series, I'm not moving them up to 1 or 2. If Georgia wins,
if they sweep. Well,
if they sweep, if they pitch lights out, if they're dominant, if Georgia hits under like 5 home runs this weekend and they sweep, then it's like, yes, I am. Like,
you would move them above Arkansas and Tennessee. This feels very speculative, by the way. I feel like we're just giving Texas Here's the other part too. Everybody is picking Texas.
It's kind of like, sorry, I just watched Cade Anderson blow the doors off of an Oklahoma hitter. He nearly just gave up a game-tying home run, and he just got his 10th strikeout of the game, I think.
That's
sorry.
So I tweeted this stat. A bunch of Texas fans are saying, like, I just gave him the kiss of death. Texas has never lost to Georgia. They are 3-0. That includes give me a second as I pull up the stats, which, by the way, Georgia stats did not have this one. Texas is 3-1 against Georgia. Texas swept at the 2004 College World Series, and then Georgia met in 1912 and split the series in Athens. So it is their first time coming.
Texas.
Austin. Yeah, well, they played A&M last year.
Yeah.
And I want to. They went to a regional in Baylor.
Yeah.
But LSU's never played in the state of Oklahoma, by the way. I thought that was a pretty interesting stat.
Yeah, I looked that up. They've met in Baton Rouge for super regionals, and then
Jordan Thompson walked him off. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually saw that video come across my social media feed the other day. And
Cade Horton played third base for that OU team, by the way.
Yeah, he's old.
I'm very old. I always age myself. That is all that we have. We will be live Saturday again on the weekend rotation. We'll be back here Monday night recapping everything. We'll be live tweeting throughout the games. And like I said, I'll be at that game Saturday. Sunday, I will be at DBU Western Kentucky.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm excited about that one.
Hey, shout out former DBU coach, now Arkansas Pine Bluff head coach, Logan Stout.
Yeah, he gave Missouri a pretty good scare last night.
He did. I also got to give out my head coach, former DBU alum, Jeremy Kennedy. He was there when Ben Zobrist was at.
And if we're giving shout out to former Texas A&M Aggie Cliff Pennington, who's their hitting coach. I think that's all the shout. I don't know anybody on Western. They have a cool SID. I met him a few years ago at the CSA tournament. Shout out to him.
They gave Vandy a scare the other day.
I like their branding. I will say this too. Sam Houston went up there and they had a Big Red come out to a game. Yes. Maybe Big Red will come out to a game. If Big Red comes out to a game, I'll lose my shit, by the way. Because I went when Sam played football specifically to see Big Red, and he did not come. I was very disappointed.
That's disappointing.
I know. Granted, there was only 40 people there it was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
But can someone? I want something with Big Red on it too. Big Red guy.
They should make I know they did the football helmets with just big reds.
They do a hat too.
They should do. Yeah, they should baseball.
Or maybe a chest of just the eyes. Like, remember the Lake Elsinore Storm, the old minor league team, how they had eyes?
Yes.
They need to do that with Big Red. Well, I think that's all we have time for. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll have everything that you could ever want in the SEC. See everybody on Monday.